Day 65,100 of quarantine. Steve Grillo, you're listening to Grillos AftershockXL here, live in my apartment in Hell's Kitchen. And crazy day today, crazy weather, hail, thunderstorms, but it's nice out now. Well, not really. It's overcast. I'm looking out the window, live from my apartment. Could see all the crap that I have accumulated over the years. I got to give a shout out to Staggered Stance. My cousin Trevor, that's his crew. Got a bunch of guys that they got Staggered Stance crew down there up in upstate New York. And I wanted to wear his shirt and show some love for my cousin Caitlin and Trevor. So try to do little things that try to make things seem a little normal and try to get this shit together. We're gonna get through this kind of thing. This is weird because it's like it's almost starting to get normal, but it's not. What we're dealing with, everybody's dealing with their own way. This is how I deal with it. This is what I look forward to every day here. 6 o'clock, hanging out with you beautiful people. It's fun to do it from my apartment. I'm glad I can do it every day. And it's a little bit of an outlet. I hope it's an outlet for you, something different for you to watch. Today, I'm very excited what's going on today. One of the most gifted, talented actors in the business and has been able to come out of quarantine and come on my show. He doesn't have a camera, but everybody, I'm so excited to welcome Mr. Robert Wuhl to my show today here at Grillos AftershockXL.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you.
Yeah, you're one of my favorite actors. You're one of my favorite guests on the Stern Show. I don't know if you used to come in. I used to like when you come in because you just didn't like you used to come into the office and sit down with us and hang out. And I always thought that was so cool because A, it was you, and B, you were such a down-to-earth, nice guy.
Well, thanks. That's nice to hear. I always enjoy doing the show. I love Howard, and I love doing the show, and I loved everybody on it. I had a really nice time every time I was on.
Yeah, no, he loved you. I don't know if you remember me from being there. It was a long time ago.
Well, I remember everybody was nice, so I didn't think there was any dicks that I knew of. So
yeah, okay. No, I was just a kid that got you I handed you the release and got you a cup of really bad coffee, probably. So, but I remember you being such a gentleman and so warm and friendly. So that was always appreciated because there were some people that would come up there and they were kind of dicks.
Who were the dicks? Who were the biggest dicks?
Geraldo Rivera was the biggest dick. He told me, "Go get my fucking coffee." I was like,
"He said what?" That. He said that.
Yeah, because I was friends with his producer, and he came up with the producer, and I was like, "Oh my God, so good to see you." He goes, "What are you doing? Go get my fucking coffee." I was like, "So, I don't think some people might think this is a dick move, but I think it's kind of funny just because it is who it is, and he goofed on me." So when Schwarzenegger came up, and I said, "Mr. Schwarzenegger, I just need you to sign this release for TV and radio," and he looked over his shoulder, kind of down at me. He goes, "I don't trust short people. Give it to my manager."
I think he's probably, well, I mean, it's kind of a jerky thing to say, but I think he was joking.
I know, but being goofed on Schwarzenegger, there's my cat in the background. Being goofed on by Schwarzenegger is an honor, I think. But I've told that story. No, what a dick. I was like, what are you talking about? He was goofing on me.
Did Howard ever really dislike any of his guests?
Well, it was somebody that would probably came on, and then when they got like super famous, they turned on him. Like John Bon Jovi did that to him. And he went after him for so long because when Bon Jovi was nobody, Howard had them on, and they were so happy. And then Bon Jovi blew up, and he blew Howard off. He was like, "Well, you're a big shot now. Come on, this is great." And they were like, "No, we're too big for you." And Howard went off on him so bad. You know how brutal Howard could be. And Bon Jovi called Howard because once Howard Stern's fans smell that the whole thing, they get behind Howard. His fans are absolute like vicious, and they're so vicious. So Bon Jovi couldn't go anywhere without one Stern fan like calling him a name or doing something. And he called and begged Howard to get off. "Stop bothering me. Please don't harass me. I'll come back on the show."
Okay.
Yeah. But no, some of my favorite guests were like Richard Simmons and Gilbert Gottfried. Like Richard Simmons was just so much fun.
Yeah, so's Gilbert. Gilbert and I started together.
Yeah. So I heard a little bit of an interesting story about how you got into the show business. And if correct me if I'm wrong, but is it true you knocked on Rodney Dangerfield's door with a bunch of jokes?
Yeah, that's very true. That's how I started. It was one of the. Well, I was starting as a stand-up comic at the Improv, and I knocked on Rodney's door. That's very true with jokes. That's very true.
Now let me ask you a question. Did you know Dennis Blair?
No, this is before then.
Okay, because Jackie the Joke Man had this apartment, his famous apartment in New York. Like I lived there, Stuttering John lived there, but before that it was Jackie, and Jackie got it from Dennis Blair, who was one of Rodney Dangerfield's writers.
Yes.
And he wrote Easy Money. So
Yeah.
when we moved out, I went to this closet and I found an Easy Money script with like hand notes on it. It was really cool, but I didn't know if you knew Dennis.
I know Dennis, but I didn't know him then.
Okay, yeah. So that was because like Dangerfield's wasn't that far. Dangerfield's was a couple of blocks down. So It was on 65th between First and York. So that was the crash pad for all the comics, and they obviously they must have went up there and partied, because when I was moving and I took the glass off the coffee table, you just saw a bunch of chop marks from people doing blow.
Did you know Rodney?
I met Rodney twice. He came on the show, and it was just like one of those moments where it was like, oh my God, it's Rodney Dangerfield. But he was like, he knows when he's going on Howard, you're always you never know what Howard's going to say. So he was a little bit uptight when he came on, but he always killed. But he was very, very laid back, very chill. But he was just very cool. Is it true he used to walk around with a vial of coke around his neck?
I never heard that.
Yeah, I heard that when they did like a Caddyshack, like a reunion thing, and they said that he was like totally tweaking the whole movie.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah,
I just don't. Never saw him with a vial of coke around his neck.
Yeah. So now here's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. It's probably totally we'll get to the movie stuff later, but I'm a huge history buff.
Oh, good.
I'm a huge history buff. And if I had a teacher like you, I'd probably be teaching history in a college right now.
I hear that, and I have to explain first of all, we should explain what you're talking about.
Well, I don't know the backstory. Now, do you teach, or you just go to schools and you do lectures?
But they're not lectures. It was an HBO monologue. It was an HBO content. I wanted to do. I thought there was a way to have fun with. I was coming out of Arliss, and I wanted to do something next. And I said, it might be something to do with history. I think there's a way to keep storytelling alive with history, and I'm not sure how to do it yet. I'm thinking about You Are There, which was an old show back in the 50s with Walter Cronkite. They'd reenact certain historical events, but Chris Albrecht, who was running HBO at the time, is my age, so he knew what I was talking about. And I said, I don't know what exactly it's going to be, so we workshopped. I would go to colleges and just workshop this monologue and tell stories, and then it built into this thing called Assume the Position that I did 2 episodes of. I did one at NYU. Those are real students. And then I did another one at the New York School of Podiatry with real students.
Go figure.
Uptown. They were both great. I had a great time. But people always talk to me about that. And they always say, oh, boy, if I had a teacher like you. And the fact is, I tell everybody, first of all, my sister was a teacher. Number one. Number two is I might be able to get away with some of this in college, teaching college. But the language that I used and what I was saying, I wouldn't make it, even though high school people love the show, I wouldn't make it past a week in high school before somebody would call a principal and say, listen to what he's saying and why I don't want my guy. It just wouldn't happen. It just would not happen. College, might be able to get away with more in college, depending on the college. But it was a comedy, keep that in mind. Even though it was all historical, it was a lot of fun, and it was learning, because I like to learn. I really enjoy something when I can learn something. So that's what I tell people.
See, I was never type that, when a lot of teachers would say, here's the book, read the chapter, here's a test. I had a problem with that. So I have ADD and I'm dyslexic. So, learning was always a problem, but it was always that teacher that explained it in a way. Like if they taught school, like they did the Schoolhouse Rocks on the Saturday morning cartoons, like conjunction, junction, which I'd probably be a fucking NASA scientist. Like I had such trouble learning, but watching you do that, if someone taught me the way you did those lectures, I would be a different student.
Well, thank you. But the key, when I was doing it, the one great, people always talk about network notes, and they are really, I would say 95% of the time, they're pretty shitty. However, I got one network note when I was putting this together that was the key to the whole thing. And this one person said, bring it to today. If you can bring it to today, and make them understand it. And that was what I would do. I would compare everything to today and say, this is the same thing as, or you understand what this is, and you think it's unique, and yet the same guy, look what happened back then. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So that was a very cool part of it. That was very smart. And that was the key that opened up everything.
Would you mind telling everybody out there, because this is my favorite story, the Yankee Doodle Dandy story?
Well, everybody knows Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. And I always said, why did he call it macaroni? Because everybody said, well, why did he call it macaroni? I mean, just rhymes? Well, no, actually, you have to understand that the song was a British drinking song. And there was a notorious, it was a gay club called the Macaroni Club in London at the time. And it was very foppish and it was very gay. So what they were doing by calling him Macaroni, Yankee Doodle, and when he sticks a feather in his hat, that's very flamboyant. He's accessorizing. And they said he called it macaroni. So basically they were calling everybody, the Brits were calling in this song, they were calling everybody in the States with Yankee Doodle, they were calling them gay. That's basically what it was.
I love that story. So everybody thinks it's such a patriotic song, and it's not. They were goofing on us.
Yeah, sure they were.
So I have a friend of yours that said hello last night. I think he's going to be doing the show on Friday, Mr. Mike Starr.
I haven't seen Mike in a long time.
Yeah, Mike's one of my very, very close dear friends. And I told him that you were coming on. He was very excited. He said to say hello, and
yeah.
He said that you always, something about playing softball, and you always used to break his balls.
I like playing softball. Now I'm too old.
Yeah,
I got too old, but I mean, I loved it. I love Mike. Mike was a good player. Mike was a good player.
Mike was almost a professional football player.
Yeah, I can believe that.
He was playing football at Hofstra. He was being eyeballed by the Jets back in the day, but he wanted to act.
Good for him. You know what's good? Tell him, always remember, there were no old timers days in football.
Nope.
You don't walk. You don't see people with legs.
No. And their brains are all like scrambled eggs.
Yeah. By the way, do you know why? I wonder if Mike knows this. I talked to him about, out of all the sports, the only sport that doesn't have guaranteed contracts is football. And you would think more than any of them, that would be the one that would have them. But they're not getting, when you read about these guys signing for $80 million, it's all in the signing bonus because you get to keep that. But you can have an $80 million contract, you get a signing bonus of 20. After that, they can cut you any year. They can cut you, not owe you a dime. You get to keep the bonus, but you don't get to keep the rest of the money. So when you read these contracts, it's only about the signing bonus. That being said, do you know why they don't have guaranteed contracts? No,
I don't. Well, because probably injuries. If they have like an injury that could be a career-ending injury every time they step on the field, then I would think that might be it.
But this is a negotiated thing. This is a players' union. This is a players' union thing. And the reason they don't have it is two words: Joe Montana.
Really?
Joe Montana, when the players' union went up against the owners, when they had the famous strike season, Joe Montana crossed the picket line. And when your stars start crossing the picket line, the rank and file have no choice because it's all about stars. Why the SAG, Screen Actors Guild, became so strong is because you had Cagney and Edward G. Robinson and Humphrey Bogart. They were the stars, and they were leading the charge. So when your stars cross over, and then Mark Gastineau and LT, the stars started going across because they wanted their money. The union's powerless. So that's the reason they don't have it. Is if you ever see Boomer Esiason, who we've talked about this, who was the player rep for the Cincinnati Bengals at the time, he and Joe have little words because of that. And that's the reason they don't have guaranteed contracts.
That's messed up.
Well,
so no, you had your series on HBO for a while, Arliss, and you were a sports agent. Now, did you get the job because you're into sports and they like the fact that, or was it just, are you into sports that much, or you just took the job because you're an actor?
No, I created the show. So
okay.
What happened was I was approached by Mike Tolan, who is a producer. In fact, he is the executive producer of the Michael Jordan Last Dance that's on right now. So the miniseries, and he approached HBO about doing some kind of Spinal Tap of sports. And I had done some work at HBO. I did the Young Comedian Show. I did a bunch of work at HBO, and I was a favorite there at the time. And they said, see if you, and they knew I knew sports, so they asked to see if I can get involved. And I came up with my idea about doing a show about a sports agent. And then they said, yeah, okay, we like that idea. We want you to star in it. And then to me, it was always about a guy's, it was always about a guy running a business. Yeah, my family's a business-oriented family. We have a family business that's been there for 100 years. Now, my family's no longer involved, but the business is still there. It's Wuhl Brothers. And it's a produce business in Newark. So I come from a family of business. So to me, it was about a guy running a business, trying to get the job done. And he had a clientele, a very unique. I'm getting feedback with something there. I'm hearing feedback.
Yeah, no, we fixed the problem.
Okay.
I was trying to. I can't see comments on this, but I was trying to see if I could see the comments from my phone, and that was my fault. Sorry.
Okay, I get it. I understand. So to me, it was about a guy doing a job. I mean, he said he had a very unique clientele because they were young, they were rich, and they have a very short career life expectancy. And then I could also get into social issues that way because they were all in sports at the time, whether it was, steroids, domestic abuse, which, went on, and, transgender athletes, gay athletes, alcoholism, everything in society, pretty much I could deal with it with the show pretty much.
Yeah, it would be interesting to bring back that show at this point in time. Not just because of what's going on right now, but I'm just saying technology is so different. Rules are different. There's different athletes, and now you have UFC fighters that could make pull the whole thing in. It would be fun to have that show come back now.
It's been talked about.
Oh, because they would take on a whole different thing, because at that time it was so everything's on your phone now and stuff, and it's so different, Yeah,
I don't think that would affect storytelling much. I have to tell you.
Yeah. Technology wouldn't play a role.
That's only distribution.
Yeah,
that's got nothing to do with storytelling.
Yeah, gotcha. So, what was your favorite movie to work on?
Oh, all of them. I can remember every one of them, and I've had great experiences. I'm trying to think of a bad experience I ever had. I mean, each one was wonderful, especially when I love doing everything from Hollywood Nights, which I had my first movie, which I loved. I had a great time doing Batman. Was a dream.
Well, I know. Let's talk about Batman. That must have been because that was Tim Burton is just so dark in that movie. So was everybody. It must have been so surreal to be on set with all that. Those sets was just insane.
It was very cool. Now this is late 80s, 88, or 87, 80. It comes out in 89, right? Yeah. So this is 88. And Tim, at that point, had only done a few movies. He had done Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and I think Beetlejuice, and that's it. And Warner Brothers was banking on him to make the most expensive movie ever made. And his vision, and it is his vision. All this stems from Tim Burton. Everything you see now stems from Tim Burton. Some people would say, well, maybe it's Frank, whatever his name is, the Dark Knight comic books. Okay, I can give a little bit of that, but everything else is off of because if the Tim Burton version failed, it would have been a different story. And he had a very unique vision, which was wonderful. He had all the money in the world, which was wonderful. We shot it in London, and Pinewood Studios is where everything was built. And Pinewood, of course, is the James Bond studios.
That's where didn't they shoot Star Wars as well out there?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know. I can't say yes or no.
Okay.
So I would go every day to work, and it was just really cool. I mean, the people you had, and you had the best artists. The set designer, the designer was a guy named Anton Furst, which was a brilliant, tortured artist. In fact, he threw himself off a building within a year.
Jeez.
And then you had great costume designers like Bob Ringwood and V Neil, I think was the no, it was a British person. No. But we had the top of the line people everywhere. And you had Jack Nicholson, and you had Michael Keaton, who I knew because we started out together stand-ups. So that was terrific. And Tim and I got to live 4 months in London, like from September to January. So I got to live in London during Christmas season, Dickens time. Wow. It was a great, and because I was there for so long, I could bring, my wife was there, but her mother, I could bring friends over. It was cool. It was just great.
Someone wants to ask a question. What's the question, Noah? Indie filmmaker here. I'm going to knock on your door with my script. Would you ever take a role in a New York independent film if the role was right? That's my boy Eddie Crawford. He's doing. He wrote a movie called One Fine May. So he was wondering, would you come to New York to do a movie?
Well, yes, absolutely. I love working in New York. I can't look at the script right now because this is a problem. It's because every time there's too many cases, and it happened with Arliss, it happened a bunch of when you get unsolicited material, and my heart, goes out. So you have to go through an agent, a lawyer, somebody to submit it, because what happens is, who knows? You write a baseball movie, okay? Somebody gives me another baseball movie. I go to do a baseball movie. The first guy comes back and says, I gave him a baseball movie. I'm suing him. So, there's a lot of litigious things. I don't want to downplay. The answer to your question is yes, of course.
All right, cool. We'll figure that out. Eddie's a good dude. He's been working on the script for like a year. It's about 3 people.
I don't give a shit. If you got the money, I'm there.
Okay, that's the answer right there. So, do you have any projects coming down the loop? What's going on? How are you dealing with what's going on with right now?
If I told you, I'm kind of having a good time.
Really?
I mean, I'm here in LA, and I'm fortunate that I have a nice house, and I don't see my wife at all, which is great. I mean, it's like, we have totally different hours. I mean, I'm married, going to be 37 years now.
Wow, and, God bless.
Well, I mean, 16 of which were the happiest of my life.
Okay.
But my wife is a huge insomniac. So she doesn't go to bed till like 9 o'clock in the morning. So she's up from 7, 8 o'clock at night till like 9 in the morning. Well, that's good because I see her from like 7 to 10, and that's enough.
Reduce the amount of time spent together.
It's great. Thank God we have. Stop and think. Look at this technology we're dealing with you and me, with Netflix. Boy, am I pissed off I didn't buy Netflix stocks when it started, and I should have. I mean, I think Netflix has gone up like 55, 60% since this started.
Well, my friend made a bunch of money on Zoom. Zoom is a hot stock. He said what's that?
Zoom is a hot stock. However, people, once this is over, they're not going to be Zooming so much. We'll still have Netflix.
No, every night I have 7 o'clock Zoom with all my boys from the bar.
Well, that's cool.
And so it makes it, we all have a cocktail, and it's like we're at the bar, but it's weird. Like, I look forward to my show at 6. I don't know if you know about this, but in New York at 7 o'clock, everybody goes up to the roof of all their buildings and stuff, and everybody cheers on all the frontline workers that are out there, putting their necks on the line so we can have food and stuff,
That's great. I mean, how great you talk about real heroes.
Yeah.
When I remember an article years ago, I think it was Rick Riley in Sports Illustrated, after 9/11, talking about, I don't want to hear about a golfer sinking a 6-foot heroic putt. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, these are heroes. I mean, it's like we choose our words so poorly these days. I mean, now I don't want to sound like the guy, that guy, but when I grew up, or I'm sure my family grew up, or my dad, or you too, when you talked about something that was awesome, it was usually the pyramids, or the Grand Canyon. A hamburger was not awesome.
Yeah.
So these are real heroes. These people who are going out there, and I hope they do give them, more pay. I really do. I have no problem with these people receiving extra money. And what's also interesting is, I watched somebody last night. You realize a lot of these people are immigrants. that are at the, that are working in these places.
Listen, I'm an essential worker. I do beer and liquor rep stuff, and I got to salute all these bodega guys. They're at work every day, putting their lives at risk because they all have families, and they're working really hard. And I'm down in like Alphabet City and on the Lower East Side. And they're there at work every day. And then you got to give props to the people in the supermarkets and the Dwayne Reeds,
Hey, by the way, you mentioned Hell's Angels. Are you really at Hell's Angels?
I'm in Hell's Kitchen right now.
There is a terrific Thai restaurant I went to.
All on 9th Avenue, right down my block. There's like so many good. Which one?
Yeah, no, there was one you could never get into. It's just a tiny hole in the wall. I always get takeout from, but there was another one. A Thai restaurant? Was it a Thai restaurant?
There's one right next.
There was a Mediterranean restaurant on 8th Avenue. I think it's 8th Avenue.
Probably
around about, I want to say 40th Street, maybe 43rd Street. Boy, was it good.
There's so many great Thai. There's so many great restaurants that are all closed right now. I'm dying for some Chinese food, Rob. I'm dying.
Yeah, no kidding, and a lot of them aren't going to reopen too.
I know.
I'll put it this way: the lower expensive ones, the moderately priced ones, and like places like pizzerias, which generally do well during this. Domino's is doing well. They usually will come back. Who's going to get hurt are the more higher end restaurants.
Well, they get bailouts though. Like they just gave like $20 million. They gave $20 million to Ruth Chris Steakhouse.
Well, that's not a small business steakhouse. That's a lot of people who work with steakhouse. I'm talking about the individual restaurants. The top of the line ones should probably survive because their clientele should come back. But there's no telling what's going to happen. There's no telling. I mean, anybody who thinks that they know or tells you they know, they're full of shit.
Yeah. But so where did you grow up?
Union, New Jersey.
Okay. So a buddy of mine was telling me, and I've seen Bull Durham, but I haven't seen it in a while. But there's that famous speech that you improv'd. Tell everybody about that.
I didn't improv the speech. Bull Durham is a great movie, and it holds up surprisingly well. And that movie is written. Ron Shelton, the writer-director, was nominated for an Oscar. He won just about every award for screenplay that year. So it's not like we improvised this movie. It did not happen. There was one line. Now, Ron would let me play every now and then. Once we got what we was going to pay it, all we shot was on the script, always. And then, depending on the mood, he'd say, hey, Robert, do one for yourself. And there was just the one scene on the mound, the pitcher's mound, where what happened was a week before a shooting, a good friend of ours was getting married, my wife and mine. So I said, what do we want to get for a wedding present? And she said, well, candlesticks always make a nice gift, to find out where she's registered. Maybe you get a silverware pattern or something. So the scene on the mound comes, and the line is, I run out to the mound where all the guys are gathered, and they're arguing amongst themselves. And I say, what's going on here? And Kevin Costner, who's playing the catcher, he goes, well, the first baseman's girlfriend has put a curse on his glove. Nuke, Tim Robbins, has got his old man in the stands here, and we don't know what to get the shortstop for a wedding present. We're dealing with a lot of shit here. And I sat for a second and said, okay, well, candlesticks always make a nice gift, or find out where she's registered and get a silverware pattern or something. Okay, let's get two. And I'd run back. And I never, ever thought it would be in the movie. Never in a million years. Even though I was at Dailies the next day and everybody cracked up watching it, but I never thought, and that is all a tribute to Ron Shelton, 100 and 200%, because I know I've worked with a lot of filmmakers, a lot of them, and there's very few, Tim being one, Barry Levinson being one, Ron being another, that would say, yeah, that's really funny, and that's really in character, and it works, but I didn't write it, and I'm the writer-director, and their egos won't allow that. The great ones will allow it. The great ones will do that. And that's all a tribute to Ron Shelton.
Cool. Did you go to Union High School?
Yeah, sure.
That's where Artie Lang went to Union High School.
Of course I do. As did Jeff Ross. No, Jeff left earlier. Jeff grew up in Union, but he moved out. We have 3 generations of comics there. Do you
know Artie at all?
I do know him now. I didn't know him then.
Yeah. No, he did my show once he got his shit together. He lost all the weight and he was clean and stuff. And I was one of the first shows that he did because he just Artie just loves me, and God bless him. But he's I know I really doubt that he's using again because he has to get tested like 2 or 3 times a week, and he'd be in jail. And if he was in jail, it would be on the news. But he's gone silent. He was out playing like almost every night, and he was doing this stuff, and he was answering the phone and calling me back, and now it's sort of just like quiet.
Well, let's hope for the best. I mean, you know, Artie is not only a terrific, brilliant comic. Artie, you know, he and I are simpatico because we both love movies, we both love sports. And when I would go on his show, we had the best time because we talked movies. And Artie has a great encyclopedic knowledge of old movies, and he's a sports fan. So, and I'm only hoping because, you know, it's a guy from Union, and we the same hometown.
What are you doing to fill your sports void?
I'm actually writing a baseball book, and I've been working on it before this all happened. So I'm working on a book about what you don't see in a baseball. You know, from the front.
I'm so glad you're doing that because, you know, I wrestled in high school, and, you know, there was like, no matter what, when you stick a bunch of testosterone-filled males in a small area, there's going to be people. There's going to be the dominant male that's going to be like breaking people's balls. You don't hear about the fights that go on behind there, what it's like when they travel. Yeah, baseball is tight-lipped. Well, most sports are. There must be such another culture that goes on. Just the people that have to do their dirty laundry, the people getting their uniforms ready, the travel arrangements. There's so much going on in organized sports that I've always been interested in. I'm so glad. Keep telling me what.
Well, this is not about players.
Yeah.
As you said, this is about the other people who make up an organization. I'm talking with owners. I'm talking with general managers, what they do. I'm talking with the sound people, the audio people, the broadcasters. It's like, this has nothing to do with what goes on in the field. Nothing. From once the game starts. Because every manager I've ever spoken to, every manager I've ever spoken to, I asked them, what percentage of your job duties are between the lines once the game starts? And invariably, the answer I get back is about 20, maybe 25%, maybe about 20%. It's like, because once the game starts, you know, there's not much you can do. It's like it's in the players' hands. If I got better players than you do, I'll probably win. If I don't, I'll probably lose. He goes, I said, so what's the other 80%? And that's when you're dealing with stuff. When you have to deal with, for example, as a manager, or you've got 40 guys, or probably about 50 guys over the course, young men, but they travel in ages between, say, nowadays, it can be somebody who's 19, 20 to about a guy's late 30s. Some have families, some are having families for the first time, some are losing parents. Some are having marriages break up. You've got a rookie who's pushing a veteran who wants his contract so he can afford the new house he wants to buy. You've got about, out of your 20, 30 guys, maybe a third of them don't speak English. And then you got, you know, and you want to keep, like, you want to keep guys away who don't like you from the ones that do like you. And you got to keep everybody moving in the same direction, because you're going to have, especially in a baseball season, because it's 162 games. You're going to win a third, you're going to lose a third. What happens is the other third is what happens. The best team's going to win a third, the worst team's going to win a third. It's like, that's just, you know, that's going to happen. It's that other third. How many of those games? And you have to keep a move. You're going to have winning streaks. You're going to have losing streaks. You're going to have, you know, slumps. You got to keep everybody moving in the same direction. And
injuries.
And that's not an easy thing to do. Yeah, you're going to have injuries. You're going to have a lot. Now, and then you have all the other people who work, you know, in the minor leagues and putting together organizations, which always fascinates me. And how, you know, I was talking with Charlie Steiner, voice of the Dodgers, who used to work. He was the Yankee voice for a couple of years. And I said, let's say you go to a new stadium and you haven't worked in a stadium before. You know, what's your craft? What's your day like? He goes, the first thing I count is how many steps am I from the booth to the bathroom. That's the first thing I have to know. And everybody else I talk with agree with that. He goes, you're on the air. You want to know how much time do I have to get to the bathroom?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it's really interesting. And the guys who talk to the players and how the players have changed over the years, because now they make so much money. and they're all on social media. They're all worried about their brand. There's very little personal contact with the guys who are on the guys who cover the team, to the guys that are really on the team, the players anymore, because they're all, first of all, they're so rich. It's like back in the day, an average ball player made maybe 5 times what the average guy made. Now it's, these guys could be, once they get a contract, even when they're an average major league salary is like $3-4 million a year. So they're all rich kids. They're not, they're all, and it's a very much of a bubble.
So I had for a while, Howard had me going out doing like the Stuttering John interviews and the red carpet for a while, and they got me into Jorge Posada's benefit that he does every year for his son. He has some cranial disease, and I got to go in and ask a bunch of questions, a couple of goofy ones, but one of them was, will there ever be a gay baseball player? Or it had something to do with about someone being gay in the major leagues. And no one picked up on it. Howard didn't pick up on it, but Posada was like, "Oh no, that'll never happen." And like, what's the take on that? Like, why they're so tight-lipped? You put a bunch of guys, you get that many guys, like percentage-wise, no matter where you are, someone's gonna be gay. Well, they don't talk about that at all. And his reaction was kind of like, I didn't realize it until I watched the interview again later, where his reaction was kind of like almost like, "No, that ain't happening."
Well, I mean, there's a mentality that'll go that way, but it's already happened. There's been ball players. Billy Bean, not the one from Oakland, from Moneyball, but there was we did a show on our list about gay ball player, about one of the clients wanted to come out. And Billy Bean was a gay baseball player, and he came out. And now they both, and Glenn, what was Glenn's last name? I forgot. And he died of AIDS later, but they both came out after they got out of baseball. That's going to change. I mean, we've already known about gay football players, but that's much more contact. And you had a gay
Aaron Hernandez.
Right. Well, that's a different story. But we had a gay basketball player. So I mean, it's just by the numbers, of course, it's happening. And by the way, the next generation ain't going to give a shit as much.
I know it. What's the big deal at this point? Really? Back in the day, it was different. Like, wasn't Rusty Staub gay from the Mets?
I don't know. I heard that. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I don't know. But I don't think Posada, and also Posada is a Latin ball player. There is that machismo thing going on, and nobody wants to be a Matacone, and but it's gonna. I'm sure it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Elton John used to own a soccer team. Well, that's how we did we did it on our show. Was an Elton John-esque type of entertainer bought the team, and he was having an affair with the ball player. So, so I mean, yeah, it's going to happen. Obviously, I got to tell you, the next generation looks at bisexual like being left-handed.
Yeah,
they don't really give a shit.
Who was your icon that you met that you got to become friends with, like as far as sports goes? Like, who would I can't believe I met them and they're friends of mine now. Like,
who were, well, it's a lot of them. I mean, I met all of them. They're all friendly. I mean, a lot of them were friendly with. The guys I became closest with, who I met either there or other places. Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens.
Okay.
Clemens I'm quite close with. Brett Saberhagen was a great guy. Who else? As far as athletes, I like Barry Larkin a lot, and Harold Reynolds. I like those guys a lot. Reggie Miller was cool.
Wow, you seem like a nice guy.
Then there's some female. Now I'm not going to count the announcers. You're talking about athletes. I mean, yeah. Bob Costas and I are very good friends. So they're all okay.
Cool. Well, so I want to show you what this awesome company made for me. You can see me, right?
Yeah.
So they made me AftershockXL face masks. So we're going to be giving them away on the air. We're going to have a little contest. My producer Noah is going to be handling that, but we're going to pick some people and I'm going to mail them out. Because in this day and age, you can't go out in New York without a face mask right now.
And nor should you probably.
Yeah. So
somebody wrote on the thing, you could talk about the Atlanta Braves pitcher who was drunk at McCoy's that time.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. It was, I don't know his name, but he came to the bar and he was like hammered, and he was kind of a jerk. My friend literally picked him up and walked him out and threw him down on the curb.
Well, that's not incredibly uncommon, I have to say. David Wells, there's one of the guys. David Wells told me he loved to get hammered the night before a game.
Oh, I was at the China Club with him a bunch of times. Me and Chuck Zito and David Wells. And the next day he went to pitch for the playoffs. I was like, don't you have to be on the mound at like 3:00? He was like, ah. And then who was the other guy who had a horrible story? He was a catcher for the Yankees, and he got into a car accident and he killed somebody.
Jim Leyritz.
Yeah, so Jim Leyritz was at this bar, American Trash, the game 4 of the World Series, and I left the bar at 4:00 in the morning. He was behind the bar pouring drinks. I was like, bro, you gotta go. He's like, nah. And the next day he got up and he hit a home run. Because I went to that game and he actually hit the last home run ever, because that was 1999, and then 2000. So he was the last person to ever hit a home run in the last century. But his story, he came to Dorian's. I was working at Dorian's, and there was nobody else around. It was just me and him. And did you know his whole story?
Yeah.
About how he was gonna go to jail for vehicular manslaughter, because they wouldn't allow, the prosecution said that they're not allowed to use her blood alcohol content because she was fucking hammered, and he only had a slight blood alcohol. But they said it didn't matter. But right before the trial ended, the prosecutor fucked up and said something to the jury about her blood alcohol level, and the judge called the lawyers up and was like, I can't, now it's admissible. Now they can use it. I can't go and stop this I can't get another jury. It's too late. So he got that break about her blood alcohol level, and that's how he got acquitted.
Yeah, Jim was very fortunate.
Yeah, he's a very nice guy, very approachable.
He's a very good guy, and I like Jim very much. But Wells would tell me he liked to get hammered the night before the game because he wanted to be in a bit of a daze when he pitched. He said he wanted a little bit of a fog so he could just concentrate on him and the catcher. That's all his focus, and he wanted everything around it to be fuzzy, so he could just concentrate on the pitcher and the catcher and the batter. And so that was his MO. But
he's a fucking maniac.
He's a good pitcher.
Yeah, but now, is it true that he pitched the game on acid, the no hitter? Is that true?
That's not him. That's a guy named Doc Ellis from Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. So I can't thank you enough for coming on, man. You really made my day.
Oh, I'm happy. Thank you.
Yeah, you've always been nice when I met you in the past. The last time I saw you, I think it was at the Sopranos premiere.
Gee, that's a while ago.
Yeah, I remember you being at the Sopranos. I said hello. I didn't bother you. I was with my ex-wife because I was a stand-in on the Sopranos for like 3 seasons.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I had 2 of the guys on last night. 2 of the crew guys. We were talking about what a wonderful man James Gandolfini was.
Yeah, he sure was. I'll echo that. Yeah, and
what a great crew, and how everybody was like everybody, regardless if you were the top billed talent or if you were the guy sweeping the floor, everybody was on the same level. Nobody was above anybody, you know.
Jersey guys.
Yeah, no shit.
We're all Jersey guys.
Do you have any advice? Any thing you want to inspirational to say? Anything about there?
Take care of themselves. Enjoy the moment. I know it's horrible, but I've had too many. We've had so many people. Everybody knows somebody who's died on this thing.
Yeah.
And I've lost a lot of friends in the last couple of years.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, we all do. I mean, that's just part of the aging thing. And I'm reminded with my good friend Glenn Fry when we were working together when he got sick. And he said to me, Robert, just make sure when he was in the hospital. And he didn't think he was sick. And he said, I'm getting out of here. And I'll tell you, as soon as I get out, I just want you to remember, it can all be over in an instant. In an instant.
No shit.
I take that with me every day.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. And I think everybody else should take that and use it because this man is one of a kind. Do you have anything you want to promote at Twitter or nothing like that? Nothing coming out? Well, yeah, that makes you even more of a better person because you came on here just to do this for me. And thank you so much. I want you and your family to hope stay safe. And we'll do this again. Maybe I'll see if I can get your number. We'll do a conference call with Mikey Starr, and we'll do something like that.
Okay.
All right, cool, man. Thank you so much for being on my show.
My pleasure.
Cool. Wow, what a nice guy. That was a fun, interesting interview. And thank you, Robert Wuhl, for coming on my show. You're an absolute legend. You've been in some of the biggest movies ever. Batman, Jesus. I've just, he was always nice when he came on the Stern Show. I want to thank everybody listening. I'm going to go up to my roof. If you're on my Facebook page, you can join me. And we'll clap for everybody to win the mask. Email GrillosAftershockXL.com with your screenshot of your subscription to the YouTube channel. The first 3 people to email will win a mask and will be contacted. No one will take care of that. I want to thank Party Bib for the masks. It was so nice of you to do that. You guys are great. I hope everybody, if you want to make your own custom mask, go to partybibs.com. If you want one of mine, we're trying to work out something with Party Bibs, but maybe you can buy it off the website if you want to buy one. Sterling Assault, my boy Alfie. You can see the Aftershock ring right there. All this custom jewelry at sterlingassault.com. If you have something that you want made, you can get it made, or you can buy something off his awesome inventory on his website. But just so much love for Alfie. Look at those rings. He's amazing. So, and we got brightshot.com. When this is all over, we're going to be starting shooting movies again. You want to go to brightshot.com. It's the best LED light in the business. It goes any color temperature. It's got built-in special effects, and it's only 3.8 amps. So once production starts rolling around, you want to get in touch with Noah at Brightshot or Roy at Brightshot. And you got my boy, the Pitbull tax guy, F-Sharp Tax Management, Richard Prinzi. If you didn't get your taxes done, Richard at Prinzi.com. He saved my life. Saved my life. So get on that. I'm going to have Richard come on because he has a new venture called Go Justo, which is for anybody that files a W-2, that files independently. Like most actors and people in the entertainment business, if you get paid a flat fee, he has different programs that you can help out, and you can do some stuff like that. Did I miss anybody else? No? We're good? All right, everybody. No? Cool. Win a mask. Grillos AftershockXL at Gmail. Take a screenshot. I'll do my best to get everybody a mask. We'll see how this works. I know I got friends and family already shaking me down. They want a mask, and I appreciate that. And appreciate everybody. I appreciate you. Come join me on the roof. I'm going to make a cocktail and go on the roof and do a live broadcast, and we'll have some fun with that. So stay tuned tomorrow. I'm very excited. I got 2 famous rock and roll artists coming on the show. Ruby Mazer, who he created the iconic mouth and tongue logo from the Rolling Stones. And I got John Holstrom, a very good friend of mine, who created Punk Magazine. We're going to talk everything art tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be Grillos AftershockXL, the art version, the art episode. So I got 2 iconic. One was punk, one was rock and roll, and they both have different styles, and they both have different stories of rock party and rock stars. One was at CBGB's, the other one was partying with the Rolling Stones, and many, many more. It's going to be such a great show tomorrow. Look up Ruby Mazer, look up John Holstrom, Punk Magazine, Ruby Mazer, mouth and tongue logo. I'm very excited to have 2 people that I admire their artwork, and I admire them for being who they are. So come on tomorrow, check it out, and I'll see everybody tomorrow. This time, same bat channel.